We have Yulia with us today. And Yulia, in two sentences, what was your business idea and how does it change the world?
Hi everyone, happy to be here. Thank you for the invite. So we do sustainable packaging material to replace polystyrene, that white, squeaky, annoying material that your cosmetics, electronics, food, and other products come packed in. And our idea is to replace this fossil-based material with a absolutely natural alternative that can actually be environmentally safe and can be returned back to the nature, and at the same time has the same properties and same convenience as customers need.
And how does it happen? What was the moment when you went from this idea to this breakthrough? Okay, let's make it a business. What was the trigger?
Um, so yeah, like we had the vision. We are two co-founders, me and my husband, and we were traveling a lot. And one day we traveled to Bali in Indonesia and saw the beautiful nature there, of course. And one day we went to do surfing session. Well, we did surfing for many, many days, but then suddenly one day we went to another session, and instead of the beautiful nature and island ocean, we saw just huge piles of plastics. And it was not, just some couple of, plastic bags. It was really mountains of plastics. And that was such a devastating picture that just stayed with us for a long time. And that's when the vision came to life, that let's try to create something that would replace this amount of plastic, that we wouldn't need to use it anymore. Because was sure at that time and still sure to this day that we as humanity don't actually want to use this plastic, but we are just so used to it. And it's a very convenient material, so obviously we don't have much alternative, so that's what we are using, what we've been using. So that's when we started the whole conversation. Let's make a change. And I have a master's degree in biotechnology, so of course, very relevant to what I've studied at the university. And Eugene, he has a background in hardware engineering, so that's where we sort of crossed our minds and created something new. So, like initially, we just did some experiments at our own kitchen and didn't think of that as business yet. Just had this vision. Let's try to create something new, some new material. So obviously we were like working on the what is called biocomposite. Let's create a new biocomposite. And first we used hemp. It's a very strong plant, and we were mixing this hemp with the glues that we could find on the market. But we quickly realized that unfortunately it's not going to be able. We will not be able to return this mix with hemp and synthetic glue to the nature, because it will not biodegrade. So the goal was then to find something in the nature that would be a glue or serve as a binder. So that's when we found mycelium. Mycelium is a network of mushroom roots, and it has a very strong natural binding properties. So basically, we went to the Institute of Botanics, told them about our idea, and they gave us the mother culture of mycelium that we use till this day. I have a funny story how we were smuggling it through the border, but that's another story. So we did create some first samples of this material, and we were just leveraging our network of our own network, showing them those samples and basically asking for their feedback. So we did the classic, what I understand now, customer discovery, even though we didn't know that it's called that way, or we were not like 100% sure, but we just did what felt natural to us. Try to get as much feedback as possible from your potential customers, or even if they are not your potential customers, they will direct you to someone else. So we basically spoke to many different business owners, entrepreneurs, brand owners, and showed them, here is what we have. And all of them told us, you have to make a packaging out of that. And that's when we learned about the protective properties of the material that we get, that it is thermally insulating, that it is waterproof. And we really realized, well, yeah, it will become a great packaging, a great lodgement, cushioning, or insert type of the packaging. For those who are watching us, this is the type of the packaging that we are making. And as I mentioned, it is very similar to polystyrene in terms of the properties. And in some cases, it even looks similar to polystyrene, but it is so much softer, so much more pleasant to hold in the hands. It's not squeaky, it's not annoying at all. And it creates a very nice brand perception. So basically with that, that feedback from the potential customers, we understood that let's go for the packaging. But then there was the next challenge that to be successful in the packaging industry, you need to produce the material at the industrial scale, so the proper amounts. And that's when we started to work on the technology. So far we built our own pilot production line and have 3 patents that cover different parts of the technology. And we have several benefits that allow us to produce this material at the scale and speed that market demands. So yeah, I mean, it was a long answer to your question, but that's what we are doing at the moment.
Yeah. So, how much time do you need for producing one of these pieces?
Yeah. So as the topic of our conversation states, I'm growing something out of mushrooms. So every packaging piece is actually in fact growing. So it takes 5 days for every packaging piece to grow. Of course, we're not growing one piece in 5 days. We grow a chunk of the packaging pieces at all times, and that's also part of our process, innovative process, how we have the supply of the raw material at the time, how we have the supply of the packaging or the ready packaging that is ready to be used. But yeah, overall, we give it 5 days to grow.
So you already have customers and you're already selling this. How long does it take from the idea to the market with all this market research that you actually did and all this scaling from your kitchen to the production line?
Yeah, interestingly enough, that we actually sold our first samples that were like just that we wanted just to use in order to showcase what we can do with our material. But the material and the pieces that we made as samples were so addictive in a good way that people actually wanted to buy them. And I think this is the best approach when you have just a sample or MVP or something really early, and when your potential customers are actually voting for it with their own money. So they're not just being kind and nice to you, saying, yeah, of course, I'd love to use something like that, but they actually are buying that, or, are ready to sign some pre-contract, letter of intent, whatever. So basically, they express their willingness to pay either now or in the future. So yeah, answering that question, we were able to sell very, very early. And one of our first customers was actually L'Oreal. So like the huge corporation, of course, the biggest cosmetic producer in the world. And we did a pilot with them really early, and it was like at our lab scale as well. But I think like answering your question, from actual this lab size to actual like production facility that we have now, it was a couple of years, I think, 18, 24 months to get to where we are now. And it's still, I emphasize the word pilot production line because it's still in progress. We are still developing it further. And I think it's a continuous process where you just improve on your technology and upgrade equipment and so on and so on.
So if, for instance, now Chanel comes to you and wants your product, you can deliver, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, actually, you would be surprised with how many corporations like that, like Chanel as well, I spoke with. And all of I think it's companies of all sizes. They have their sustainability policy. They have their dedication to the UN goals, or just internal motivation to actually switch to something different in terms of the packaging. But not only limited to that. Like we see many businesses support many social causes and so on and so on. So we are ready for such customers. It's a question if they are ready, even though they have all of these policies, there are regulations from EU that are becoming more strict and regulating more, and we have our net zero goals that we want to achieve by 2030, and we all know that we are very behind those goals. So yeah.
So, what are the biggest challenges at the beginning of your business?
Um, well, it seems to be so far away now at the beginning that, um, I mean, I think just very usual thing. Maybe from like I was already a very experienced professional. I already worked for 10, 15 years, 10, 12 years, I think, before that. So, I was not a very young person when I started, but I was working in a very different industry. And I just understand now that I was lacking a lot of knowledge. And like one of our first steps was this, that we got into the startup accelerator that was that the goal was to learn those things. But unfortunately, I learned then that many things you just learn by practice, by doing things, and
Mhm.
there are not that many things that can be taught,
Mhm.
workshopped, or that can be just explained. Many things you have just to experience, and then while you experience those things, you actually learn. So I mean, there were some mistakes that we made because of the lack of the knowledge. So I definitely, if I would be the second time founder, I mean, I had some small businesses before that, but I was not a startup founder. I think it's a bit different game. So I think uh, I would try to learn from more seasoned startup founders earlier in my journey, and like actually talk and like ask maybe even very stupid from their perspective questions, but still ask them and just get the answer that I needed. So I think that the challenge was like lack of the knowledge. I think the team is always a challenge, no matter at what stage you are. It's always hard to find right people, and especially in the startup, because it's a different environment. It's obviously not corporate environment. It's more dynamic. You might be doing so many different tasks. You might be juggling different areas of the business in one day. So obviously it's not for everyone, and it's at the same time it's like there's a heavy innovation involved. So basically, you have to be ready for this innovation, and then like be ready to adapt. So yeah, many things in the team wise, and then sometimes it doesn't work out. So it's even worse than that you spent so much time with this person and didn't get the result that you wanted. So just I guess again. I would say team is a challenge for everyone. And obviously, obvious challenges, the business development, the fundraising, sales, I would say. I a bit mentioned this a bit that, even though like we are in the right time to offer the new packaging solution, new material, everyone is looking for that right now, but we still see a very slow adoption speed from the companies, from the customers. They might have their own contracts already. They might be reluctant to work with a startup, even though we already have some good track records of the customers.
Mhm.
And overall, like, the speed in the corporations is very slow in everything. The sales cycle is a pain. And then fundraising. So we are raising our seed round right now, so the second round, and so far we raised in the previous round 1.3 million euros, which is a good amount, right? And now we are raising 2.5 million euros. And even though I wouldn't say it was easy to fundraise the pre-seed round, but now I understand it was easier than it was easier to do that in 2023, when I was fundraising for the first time than it is now. Mainly, I think because the landscape changed a lot, and I think everyone is talking about that. Landscape and investing changed, especially in the sustainability, in the climate tech. I see a very I see a downtrend of investment into sustainability, and I think many corporations are also, well, companies, even not even if they're not big, they are anticipating the economic crisis, and they're already cutting the budgets. And of course, where the first cut goes is on the sustainability, on the climate, because obviously we are still surviving. We are still not in the it seems like not in the crisis, but it's already too late, I think. So yeah, I think very standard challenges, just experiencing them different way as every other startup.
So, regarding the prices of this packaging, how does it compare to other alternatives?
Yeah, it's that's the one of the top questions, of course, the price. Like the obvious competitors are polystyrene, molded pulp, like fossil-based materials. Well, polystyrene is fossil-based. Molded pulp is made out of cardboard that has other sustainability issues, or like also not that good for the climate, for the environment, as we think. So if you look into the price per piece, our packaging might be a bit more expensive than polystyrene or molded pulp. But what usually is left out of the discussion is that in order to create any packaging from polystyrene or molded pulp, you actually need molding tools, cutting tools, injection tools, and it costs a lot to produce those. So for one packaging type, it costs tens of thousands of euros to just do that molding tool, and it can go up to 100,000 euros. It could be to a couple of 100,000 of euros, so just extreme amount of money. And when you take into the consideration the price of this cutting tool or injection mold, and you compare that, for in our case it's very low price, maybe 500 euros, and then if you summarize and compare the whole price with the mold, our packaging can actually be at the same price point as polystyrene or molded pulp. And when it comes to the alternative materials, so the other alternatives are actually much more expensive per piece, and then they also have the molding tool, so it's even more expensive. I confidently can say that we are very close at the price point, very similar to polystyrene molded pulp, but yeah, definitely not cheaper, but at the same price.
Okay, so if somebody is looking right now, they can help you in two ways. One is by offering you some funds, and the second is to buy your products or incorporate your products into their industry packaging or whatever it is. And you're doing this on your premises or on their?
Mm-hmm. That's actually a very good question. So at the moment, we are producing packaging at our own facility, and then we are shipping this to the customer. But the shipment is very expensive, so it's like another cost for the customer, and there are additional CO2 emissions, which also sort of do not help in the environmental cause, or to make the environment or to improve the climate. So what we've come up with is that we are going to optimize our whole production line to fit into the 40-foot container that will serve as the mini factory. And then this mini factory is going to be deployed at the customer's premises. So that's where packaging is going to be produced. So it is saving them the logistic costs, the additional CO2 emissions, and then it will be cheaper for them as well, because the whole production unit, it will be like 2-3 times cheaper to produce at this mini unit than buy from us. And then at that point, our packaging actually becoming cheaper than polystyrene and molded pulp. So we envision to create like a decentralized network of the mini factories around the world.
Excellent. So you mentioned that the startup environment is much different than a corporate. I know that myself.
Yeah,
I think it's much more challenging, but for the right people, it's also much more rewarding.
exactly. Yeah.
And you said that leadership is a struggle always, but you managed that quite well, and you were recognized about on these terms too.
Yeah, well, thank you for mentioning that. I received an award in 2024 from the EAC, European Innovation Council, that was recognizing women innovators, and I got my award, my recognition specifically in the category of leadership. So obviously recognizing me as a role model, as the good team manager, and I think that's what I hear a lot from my team, that I'm a great CEO, a great manager, and that's just, what I've been working towards. And I don't think that, well, I think that we we are born with maybe some skill set that can make you a leader, or but it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot become a leader. And I think it's always about learning, about knowing management techniques, project management techniques, but also soft skills, negotiation, and the mindset that you implement. So yeah, I was recognized for being a great leader, and I'm very proud of that actually. And I often say that that recognition, that award, feels like my own Nobel Prize, because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a leader in my life.
Mhm. So, what do you think is a thing that leaders most struggle with, or they do wrong when they do this leading stuff?
Well, it really depends on the person. I think. Yeah, I think, well, in the startup environment, you don't see that a lot, but I think overall, probably stop learning. If the leader stops learning and just thinks, well, yeah, I know everything, and just follows the same techniques, the same methods that he or she has have been following for many years, because I think that's how we should be developing, and always learning something new, recognizing the changes in the world, so being flexible. And I like the phrase that there is nothing more stable at the moment as instability. So we will never live in the stable world, or at least not in our lifetime. So everything is constantly changing, and as a leader especially, you have to be able to adapt to that, and basically be looking for new solutions, for new creative ways, thinking out of the box. But that's the funny thing, that when I'm saying that, I think that's why someone becomes a leader, because they try those things, right? They try to think out of the box. They try to see things differently. They try to come up with different solutions. They want to try something, and if it doesn't work, they just forget about it. And that's probably the other thing that I would want to say about leader, that it's also a great skill, a very important skill, to recognize when something is not working out, and just uh, throw it away. Even though there might be a lot of work done with something, but yeah, you just at some point just have to throw things away and just forget about them and move on, and try new things, so you don't want to stick to something that are not working anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I really think that it needs to be discovered case by case, because we are not ideal, and we are all not ideal. So obviously, we can find flaws in every person, in every leader. But yeah, that's probably what I've seen the most. Like sticking to some things that do not work anymore, and not trying something new.
Yeah, excellent. What about the business? Is there some business advice you would emphasize that helped you, or that really stick with you, and you think it's really worth sharing?
Yeah, a bit how I shared about leveraging our own network and doing customer discovery really, really early. So we were not waiting until our material is perfect, until we find the best mix, until it is smooth enough, or whatever. We just went really early to talk to the audience, and that's what I always emphasize. And I think every successful founder actually says the same thing: talk to your potential customers as early as possible. Go outside your lab, your computer. And right now, it's so easy to build an MVP and something like with at a very low cost, and just go out and show it to others. So that's what I would definitely recommend a lot. Just talk to your customers as early as possible. And the other thing is a bit more hypothetical, but there will be hard times, definitely. Like, but if you have the vision that you actually want to see in the life, you need to keep going. And there will be bad days, and even the worst days, and then the ugly days. And that's, I think, what distinguishes great startups and those who actually succeed in the future, that they just keep going no matter how hard it is and how many challenges they face.
Excellent. Uh, But if you would give an advice to your younger self, to young Julia, would you do something different, or
Yeah, I would say don't do it. No, of course I'm joking. Because again, I think the entrepreneur journey is really hard. And actually, my father is an entrepreneur, and so at this point, he has like a medium-sized company that produces different types of the products for animals, all sorts of products for animals. And as I was growing up, I saw him building this business, being an entrepreneur, having sleepless nights, not having vacation with the family and so on. But he had this vision, where he wanted to be, and I think this was driving him. And that's why at some point I thought I don't want this life for myself. But yes, I often say, guess what? I've ended up exactly like my father,
yeah.
being an entrepreneur. So yeah, just I did know that will be a hard journey, but it is even, and sometimes it's even more difficult, and there are so many challenges that we have to face, especially with the hardware business, I think. So maybe my advice would be to not start the hardware business, but again, it would defeat the whole purpose, because that's what I wanted to do. That's my vision. I want to replace this physical product that is harming our environment. So I was definitely lacking some knowledge when we started, so I would definitely want to get some advice earlier from other founders, and discuss with them as many things as I wanted, and not be bashful about that, and just because now I understand that the founder community is very open to any sort of questions, to any help, all the best introductions, all the best contacts, all the best advice I actually got from the founder community. So I would say I would stick to the founder community earlier and build connections there.
So I usually ask this question, and I think you partly answer it. But is what surprised you the most as being entrepreneur? Is that this openness of other entrepreneurs, or something else?
Yeah, definitely the openness, maybe not only entrepreneurs, but overall. There are so many people who are willing to help, and especially when they see the mission, and how you as a founder, as an entrepreneur, how you are driven by this mission, by your vision.
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously, I'm lucky enough to do thing that everyone likes, right? Because on the contrary, everyone hates plastic. And then when I come with a solution to replace that plastic that we are using, and everyone is involved and really likes what we are doing. So yeah, I would definitely say be more open, ask for help, because you'll ask and you will receive. So that's the I would say something that surprised me, that no one is thinking of you as a competitor in this environment. Everyone thinks of you as the friend who they want to help and with whom they want to build something together.
Excellent. Before we were talking about being an entrepreneur, and you said a lot. It is hard. It is
Yeah,
downs.
maybe even too much, right?
But what would you say is the most rewarding part of being entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question, because obviously I don't want to sound that it's just all hardship and like it's just all bad and, never start your business. Yeah, there are certain challenges, but it is just rewarding to see how your idea and something that was just in your mind, that how it comes to life, and actually see customers using our packaging, going to some of the events where I can see our customers, their products packed into our material already, pictures on their websites with their product and our packaging. So of course, obviously, it is very, very rewarding just to see how this comes into the life. And I think that's why every entrepreneur is doing something, because they want to see how it actually turns into the life. And I mean, to be honest, what is very rewarding is all the support that we get. this recognition from EIC, you know, the prize for women innovator and especially in leadership category, but we also have received several other awards, you know, being recognized as the best sustainable startup, best startup in the climate tech. We won a couple of pitch competitions, big conferences, big startup conferences. Then I was able to pitch at the Web Summit at the huge stage where there were 20,000 people in the audience. So, you know, like, and there are so many moments like that, so many minutes like that, where you truly feel that what you do matters. So this is, you know, despite every hardship that I have experienced, that I wouldn't want to do anything different and wouldn't want to have another path. So it does seem, maybe it does seem difficult, but at the same time, it's the most rewarding journey so far.
As I asked at the beginning, your idea is changing the world.
Yep, hopefully.
Now we have a remark from Pragesh. He's from Stampec, from Kerala, India. They're doing something really similar to you.
Very nice.
And now here's your opportunity to give him an advice.
I think, yeah, that the only advice that I would give, or one of the most important advice, is to get to as many customers as possible, and start selling, because nothing sells better as the use cases with the other customers. So when we have a new customer in a new industry, and then we showcase this in the social media, on our website, even maybe in some of our materials, we immediately get customers from the similar industry, because they just see that there was someone already who did this, and it immediately sparks the idea in their mind. So I would definitely go all in for the sales, and just work on your sales, and on your sales process, and talk to as many people as possible, because then at the end it's all numbers game, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the funnel, it has to be really narrow, and then not narrow, the opposite.
Well,
It'll be wide, and then you narrow it down until you close someone. But yeah, it means that it has to be a big amount of potential customers at the beginning. So identify the ideal customer profile, you know, what size of the company you can serve, what industry you think that will be a great fit. And I gave some hints already to what we've been doing, like in the mycelium-based packaging, that it is something that needs to be protected, because material has good protective properties, something that might be it needs thermal insulation. So, you know, it makes perfumes, bottles, decor items, furniture a great fit. So, you know, identify as many customers in that, within that category, and just reach out to them through, you know, email, LinkedIn, be there where they are. And that's what I've seen helps us a lot, to be at the events and exhibitions where we could physically meet our potential customers, because then we can give them the packaging to actually touch it, to use it, and then, you know, it's a different connection than at that point.
excellent. So our half an hour is already gone. Any final
flew away, right?
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I truly wish good luck to everyone, and I think that like, you really need to work on your both hard skills and soft skills. So what I've seen also, having the structure, proper organization in the company, even though it's a startup, and it does seem to be like too overkill to try to pose some sort of structure, some sort of project management, but that's what actually also differentiates us from the other startups. That's the comment that we heard a lot, that you are the most organized startup that we've ever seen, just because we've been thinking about that from day one. So, like, we have all the work plans, we have identified all the areas that we work on, we just don't randomly start working on something, we have a clear roadmap, we have a clear strategic goals, we have OKRs, KPIs, and we follow this. So I think this really also helps to, you have this vision always in your mind, but then you have to break it down.
Mhm.
So, like these techniques, they really help breaking it down. And that's where the hard skills come in place, like, how to create a project plan, how to set the goal, how to break it down to the OKRs and KPIs, but then the soft skills, how to motivate your team, how to make sure that everyone is involved, that the motivation is still high, and that everyone wants to continue doing what you're doing, that everyone is aligned with those mission, strategy, and so on and so on.
Well, thank you. It was really great. I think this is one of the best advice I ever received here. No, I mean it, because usually the founders of the startups think, okay, startup equals chaos. Uh, Yes, but you said it. If you start with the structure from the beginning, it's much easier, and it's much easier for the employees too, because there's not that just one big vision and turbulence here and there.
Yeah,
But
exactly,
it's a clear
exactly.
path, and they know, okay, I just need this step and this step and this step, and somewhere there is this lighthouse where I want to be.
Exactly, 100%.
Well, thank you, and
Thank
enjoy
you
the
so
rest
much.
of the day.
Thank you, Robert. Have a great night.